also a certified John Maxwell coach, teacher, and speaker. I'm also an author. I've written now 6 books. This is a good time to begin to now share my screen so that you can flow a bit more with the presentation that I'm led to share with you. So get your pen and paper ready, and hopefully you'll be able to pick some notes, especially if you have questions. I'd rather you keep the questions and we'll deal with them at the end of the training. Basically, other background information that you may want to get about me, you can find on the screen at the website www.sojioyawoye.com, www.sojioyawoye.com. So getting value out of a lockdown, getting value out of a lockdown. That's what we'll be talking about today. And just to run you quickly through the content, so you get also some clarity on the various topics that that we'll be covering today. So the first thing we'll deal with the underlying factor of fear. Then we'll review the consequences of what we focus on, and I'll lead us through a discussion on choice, the fact that we have control over a lot of things, contrary to the concerns we have. We have control over a lot of things rather than the fear and the pressures we have out there. Then the meat of today's training, basically, we'll be looking at the value that we can get out of a lockdown. And I've broken this into 4 different groups. Value as a business, then your personal finance, value as an individual, and value that a family can also get out of a lockdown. So we'll be looking at all of this one after the other, and then we'll have the Q&A session. And after the Q&A, I will share with you a few other training opportunities that will be coming up also on Zoom like this, that perhaps if you're interested in, you can also sign up for. One of the questions that was asked the 209 people that registered for this training is, what one thing are you seeking to learn from this session? And 209 of them responded to that question. From the responses received, 37% said what they'd like to get out of this session is how to get value, how to improve themselves, and how to identify opportunities. And that was the highest response. Expectation from the 209 people that responded to the survey. 22% said they'd like to acquire new knowledge. And it's always good and always nice to consistently seek for and acquire new knowledge. 14% said they'd like to get value out of a lockdown. So basically reacting to the topic for the teaching itself, how to get value out of a lockdown. 12% said how to make the most of the time available. Because yes, it's pretty challenging. For almost all of our lives, you're locked up in some space. For some of us, we've not stepped out of the door or the compound where we live in. If you that live in estates like me, yes, you're within the estates exercising and all of that. So how do I make use of the time? The talent before this lockdown used to be, I don't have time. Now we have all the time. So how do I make the most of the time available? That's what 12% would like to get out of this session. Then 10% would like to learn how to overcome fear, And 3% would like to learn new things about employability and careers. And this is also instructive, but strangely only 3%, because the truth is a lot of jobs will be lost by the time this is over. If not immediately, I guarantee in the next 6 months to 1 year, a lot of jobs would be lost. So only 3%, however, want to get some new insight from this, and I'll cover that as well. And then 1%, can you believe that? Only 1% said they like to make money from home. And that was strange to me. Only 1% of the 209 responded. So put differently, probably just about 3 people said they like to make money from home. Now, what this tells me clearly, and listen to this, that suddenly, a desire and pursuit for money is not what is most important to most of the respondents, and probably most of us, because this could be representative of the entire population. So rather, people like to improve themselves, identify opportunities, acquire new knowledge, how to get value out of a lockdown, how to make the most out of time. This is significant throughout of this little survey, because this is what life really should be about. It's not about money. The things that give us the greatest joy and greatest happiness are not money. They're not things. They're those other things that we neglect that now we're being forced to focus on, thanks to Corona. So again, about 59% would like to get value, to improve themselves, identify opportunities, and acquire new knowledge. And we hopefully would achieve some of this today. And then 4% would like to, they're worried about their employment, their career, and rightfully so, and then how to make money from home, either while you're still employed or by the time some of us may just be out of employment. Now, my friend Larry Olushola shared this a while ago, and he had a wonderful session yesterday, by the way, on how to respond to stress and anxieties and all of that. So I won't go over that again, right? But as Larry Olushola said, fear not, for death in any form can't and won't take you before your time. The import of this is you're on earth for a purpose. And this wonderful God we serve, until you fulfill that purpose, He's not calling you home. So it's not my time yet. And I know there's still a lot I need to achieve by way of purpose and destiny. So also you. So stop that fear. Just put it out and don't let it hold you back. Now, so I need you to open your head and empty yourself. Open your head and empty yourself as we go further into the session. Why do you need to empty yourself? Why do you need to empty yourself? You see, once the mind disbelieves anything, the mind always attracts reason to support the disbelief. That's why we need to be careful what we take in. Because anything the mind disbelieves, the mind always attracts reason to support that disbelief. A major outcome of the lockdown is depression. Yes, you may not feel it yet, but it's there. Many of us are actually in depression, even though it may not be obvious. I don't know if you have started, but I'll share with you maybe in another few days some of what I've been doing around the house. Suddenly I'm discovering things that I never seem to have remembered was in the house. But thankfully, I've not started to talk to the plants yet, or to talk to myself, but I bet some are already doing that. And those are signs of a depressed mind. So you have to empty yourself. You have to empty yourself. You have to empty yourself. You see, depression leads to grief, and that's a dangerous place to be. Either grieving over the loss of life as we knew it, and for some of us, specifically loss of some loved ones, because some people actually have died out of this corona pandemic. And for some, they're grieving over their jobs or their income source. Because for a lot of people also, you earn when you're out there working. I manage staff for different organizations. I tell you already, quite a few of my clients have written to tell me that they don't need my staffs for this period of lockdown. Technically, that means those staff don't get a salary, and if those staff don't get a salary, my income also dips. So that's grief. That's grief in different forms. So we must find meaning, however, from these painful occurrences by projecting positive outcomes. It's important that we find meaning from this painful occurrence, depression and grief, by projecting positive outcomes. That's what keeps us going. Now, we haven't lost control because we have control over some things around us. There's so many things we have no control over. For example, you can't go out just anyhow at these times, right? You're restricted to be at home. There's so many things we'd love to do. I love to eat suya, for example. Most suya joints are closed, if not all for now. So there's so many things I'm not in control over, but I have control over some things, just like you do. And that's a perspective I need us to focus on. Rather than the things you have no control over, how about the things you have control over? We need to focus on what we have control over. You see, one of the greatest gifts you would ever receive is a gift to make choices. That's a statement from my mentor and friend, John C. Maxwell. One of the greatest gifts you and I will ever receive is the gift to make choices. We must consistently value choice as a gift. And what better time than a lockdown for us to reconnect back to that gift that we have, the gift of choice. You see, life begins with no choices. When we're born, you have no choice when you're born or where you're born into. I have no choice that I'll be born to family from Iludu in Kwara State or born black in Nigeria. I had no choice. You have no choice about things like that also. But the longer we live, the more our life is built upon and shaped by the choices we make. And we tend to forget this with the hustles and bustles of life. We tend to forget that we have choice. And it's a wonderful gift nobody can take away from you. The longer we live, the more our life is built upon and shaped by the choices we make. So you actually are responsible for the outcomes we get. That again goes to the 90-10 principle. You're not in control of most of what happens to you in life, but you're perfectly in control of how you respond to those 10%. That's a 90%, and that's a critical 90%. When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. And that's exactly where we are now. I can't wave a wand or miraculously just expect tomorrow I'm back to work or that things go back to normal. Oh yes, I'm praying for that, and I'm a man of faith. And I know there's nothing impossible with God. But pending when God manifests that way, right? I can't change the situation, but I can change myself. I can change myself. I can change myself. I can change myself. Choice, you have control over how you respond to COVID-19. Start by feeding your faith instead of your fear. We're still dealing with the background issues. We'll go to the value if you're looking for the values, as we've indicated earlier. So you have control over how you respond to COVID-19. Feed your faith instead of your fear. Wash your hands regularly, as we're told. Practice social distancing, not social isolation, by the way, right? So connect and contact your loved ones, friends, and associates, just like we're doing now. I'm reaching out to people that are joining us worldwide, as it is, right? Connect with loved ones, eat well and sleep well. Do things that will make you laugh, even if at yourself. Like I just had a good laugh at myself when I finally got connected to the viewers online here. Initially, we had the technical issues for about 10, 17 minutes. But here we are, we're back on. That's funny. But yes, I almost lost it. But for my wife, who quickly ran in and helped me through. Thank you again, DC, because I know you're there somewhere also watching, listening, and encouraging as you always do. So you have choice. You have control over how you respond to COVID-19. Move towards the many things you have control over. That's my plea. Not the things you have no control over. You can't do anything about those ones, but move towards the things you have control over. This is not the time for long-term plans. So just shut down all your long-term plans. What I want to do in summer, what I'm doing in December. This is not the time for that. What I want to do next year. This period of lockdown is not the time for that. Just take one day at a time. Have daily goals, daily plans. This, for example, is one of my goals for today. So by the time this is done, think, I'm done with it. Before this session, I've had another Zoom meeting that also went well with no hiccups. Tick, done with that. I've had my exercise this morning. Tick, done with that. And of course, as we're admonished daily lately, I made my bed this morning. Tick. So have daily goals, because each daily goal accomplished actually motivates you to do more. Don't get angry at the normal, because this is the new normal. Just accept it. Because getting angry and mad over it, over governments and all the conspiracy theories out there, does not change anything. You have no control over that. Just accept that. That's the new normal. Avoid too much media. I am an addict of CNN in particular. But I tell you, in the last few days, my TV is mostly off. I'm beginning to discover other interesting channels other than the news channels. Filter the information that comes in, because we're like a sponge. Whatever comes in, we absorb. And faith and fear both come from hearing. Faith and fear both come from hearing. So I'd rather feed my faith rather than my fear. So I'm starving my fear by listening to less news. I don't need those statistics. And like Lanre Olusola shared fantastic statistics yesterday. In the last few years, 57 million people die worldwide out of the 7 billion from things like malaria, cancer, accidents, and the likes. So far, how many have died from COVID, corona? Not even 1% of those that die from other causes. Now, this is not to downplay the significance of social distancing, washing your hands and all of that. It's out there. But I would feed my faith, not my fear. And that's my admonition also. Filter the information that comes into you. Avoid negative people. Oh, they're all over the place. Some are right there in your house and they lock down with you. Please, if you have to, just spend more time outside in your compound or wherever is safe, or some corner within the house. Negative people, avoid them, because again, it's part of what you feed yourself in and it affects you. So let's go to the meats of today's sharing in 4 different buckets. The values that I have seen that you may also have seen, that it may just reaffirm what you already know. And if you've not thought of it, I want to share now values, things that are inherent that you can benefit from, either as a business, your personal finance, as a family, and as an individual, that you have to also focus on at a time like this. You see, formal education, I think this lockdown further proves the lie of formal education in the main, in my view, because somehow self-education makes you a fortune. Formal education just helps you get a job and earn a salary, which is fine, really, but who doesn't want to make a fortune? So we need to spend more time, and this lockdown is a wonderful opportunity because you are locked up in your house to self-educate yourself. And as you'll be amazed to find out, on YouTube, for example, you can learn almost anything. You don't also need a certificate for it, right? Those that need what you have produced, either by way of a product or a service, would pay for whatever you have produced. Usually when people have a need, they don't look for a certification. If you have a terrible toothache and I tell you this tablet will cure that toothache, you're not likely to ask if I'm a dentist or a doctor, right? Most people wouldn't. They just want a cure, just want the relief out of that discomfort. Now, values inherent in the lockdown, if you are a business. If you are a business, money always responds to value. Money always responds to value. So you want more money, then you have to produce value. You want more money, you have to produce value. Money always responds to value. So you have to think of what product or service that you have that will attract money. What product or service do you have that will attract money? And everybody, there's something inherent in you that God has given you or that you can learn that can then attract money towards your business. And I'll share a few quick examples with you. So, hand sanitizer. On YouTube, people are learning how to make this product. So you're at home there, rather than just idling away. Why not just watch a YouTube video and see what you can produce? Even if you're not selling it, at least it can serve your family and your house. So you save on money from going to buy it. This is another example of a product that money follows because it is valuable. And I tell you, even after this lockdown, sanitizers are going to remain in demand for a long time. They're going to remain in demand for a long time because this heightened sensitivity to our health and hygiene factors is not going anywhere. That is the new normal. So if you can produce this, you better go and begin to do that and leverage on the demands that we have out there. How about this? Face mask. Oh, we laugh at it. We're struggling with it. One of the recent news I heard was the American government considering making it compulsory for everyone that steps out of their house to wear a mask. Do you know what that means? Now, even if they don't implement it right now, already the demand for masks worldwide has grown. Now, there is the medical mask, which is what doctors and all of that use. But the new knowledge we have is that wearing a mask basically prevents you from spreading viruses and germs from your mouth. As you know, almost all of us, as we speak, some spittle or saliva actually comes out, and some of it mixes with the air and can be transmitted. It's part of why you need to maintain that 1 meter distance or 6 feet, as we are admonished. Right. Again, go on YouTube. It's very easy to make the regular one. So it doesn't have to be medical. At least something decent to just cover somebody's mouth and nose as they move out in public. And if you think, oh, this is unsightly, oh, what do I do about this? Look at face masks. Already some fashion icons are coming out with fashion sensitive, or what do you call it? Face masks in various designs and fashions. So that's a new dress code. And you know how these things catch? Before you know it, everybody would just make it a fashion symbol. Again, look at Nigeria, for example. If you can sew, or you have a machine, or you're in fashion and all those boo-boos and babarigas and suits and all of you, better go and invest in making face masks, designer face masks. It's already in vogue. People will pay for it. I bet you cost of production will be next to nothing. Right. Again, these are not necessarily the medical face masks, but at least if I'm around you and I see you're wearing this, I feel safer because you are protecting me from the spittle from your mouth. So how much more make it a fashion statement? So that's something else you can do as a business. This is a Nigerian celebrity. This was on BBC. Even has blinks. Yeah, face mask with bling all over it. And you're just sitting at home saying you're in a lockdown? Come on. Think, 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 then act on your thinking. How about this? This is from Noshan Nemo, one of my good friends. Boost your immune system. Isn't that the major concern all of the world, 7 billion people have at the moment? How do I boost my immune system? And what better way to boost your immune system than by natural sources, not tablets and drugs? So here they are. And by the way, in Nigeria, for example, if you're in Nigeria, people like this are exempted from the lockdown because they're producing edible things and medicines and all of that. So with permission, if you need to get one, I've placed some orders, for example, that will be delivered to my house sometime today. Money always follows value. These are some other ideas you may just want to think about as a business. Selling online. As a coach, like I'm doing now, even though this is free, you could sell online and get paid coaching services, training, or you're a musician, an artist, an actor. You could sell your products online as well. So sell online, come up with creative skits and what have you. And by the way, This 2 weeks lockdown is a wonderful opportunity to grow your audience so that when all of this is over, they still stay with you. Because right now, you have everybody's attention. They're locked up at home. They're not distracted by being on the road or being at work or at some meeting or being yelled at by some bosses. Wonderful marketing opportunity online. They're all listening out there. They're reading what you're pushing out there. How about blogging? Find a niche for yourself. You can blog on health. You can blog on gardens. You can blog on anything, right? And just access your blog through wordpress.com. Very easy to set up. I have a weekly blog. Mine is a mailing blog as well, every Monday morning anyway. So just be a blogger. Find a niche, something you're good at or something from your background, your experience that you can throw up out there. Be a virtual assistant. This has always been there, but it's even more needed now. So it's like a personal assistant that is online. And executives and business owners and leaders increasingly need virtual assistants rather than a physical personal assistant that is there with them every day. What does a virtual assistant do? Everything a personal assistant does. Helps deal with some of their mails. If they are active on social media, help handle some of their social media handles, responses and engagement. Help take care of some of their meeting scheduling and things like that. It's in demand. And you're sitting right there in your house and you're a virtual assistant and you're being paid to do that. How about online teaching for students? Oh yes, all students are at home now, but even when this is over, I bet you a lot of parents will reevaluate the school fees they are paying to send their children to school. Because online teaching and tutorials that has always been there, many are now just being exposed to those outlets. And I tell you, the world is moving away from certificates as we know it, more of self-development. So if you're an online teacher, you're good in any subject or any field of endeavor, right? You can sell your services as an online teacher. How about Uber-like service, helping people with groceries? So just take their orders and you deliver their groceries to them at home. Oh yes, for some of you in Europe and most developed worlds, Amazon and co do that already. But in Nigeria and most African countries, for example, that's not so common at the moment. So you could explore that, where you take people's orders online and you deliver right to their house, including their shoppings. I bet you with 14 million people in Lagos alone, all you need is just about 100 people to patronize you and you're in business. How about custom Zoom virtual backgrounds? Like I'm using Zoom now, it's possible to change my background. I'm using my natural background here, but it's possible to change my background. And there are lots of apps that people have that can be used. For example, let me change my background so you get an idea. And this is my living room, but I'm not in my living room at the moment, right? I could also just have my official logo, Resource Intermediaries, at the background. Or I could be reaching you from the Bahamas out there in the beach. So there's a market to create virtual backgrounds like this. And you'll be amazed how many people would be ready and willing to pay for that. So think. And it's not difficult. Create virtual backgrounds, just like ringtones became very popular at some time. And people create ringtones and they sell. Create virtual backgrounds that are interesting and exciting, especially if you're a photographer or if you're in that field or you're in the creative space. Just make sure it is, I think, 16 by 19 in setup. Then it fits most screens and most apps. Money always chases value. How about an app that can estimate household food and related needs? For example, many have overstocked their houses, and sometimes they've bought too much of one item and not enough of another. What if you're an app developer, you can come up with an app where we can fit in, for example, my household size, just my wife and I and the steward at home, for example, our eating habits, how many times we eat, what we eat, our dietary taste, And then the app would instantly come up and tell us how many packs of milk we need for 1 month, how many toilet rolls we need to stock up for 2 months, how much rice we need to have for the next 6 months. I tell you, these things are possible. But who is thinking about it? Because the world we are getting into, a lot of those kind of issues, time becomes more precious. So I don't have the time to be going to stores or overstock what I don't need and understock what I really need. How about websites that track what each supermarket near you has in stock? I don't know if you've experienced it. At times I drive to a supermarket and find out they're out of stock for what I want. Then I go to another, it's still not there. And I need to go to 3 or 4 before I find what I want. What if you come up with a website that supermarkets in various areas can subscribe to and load their stocks? And most of them anyway, track their stocks internally on sites for them to restock anyway. And this feeds the website. So from home, I can click and say, okay, I'm going to so-so supermarket. Do they have this and that? And I know before I leave home that they don't have it. And then I'll be redirected just to the supermarket that has what I need. Now, you guys need to pay me for all of these ideas that I'm shooting out here. So, still looking at values inherent in a business. Like I said earlier, money responds to value. Money responds to value. Money responds to value. So think of a product or a service that you have that will attract money, and then you're in business. For example, if you're a coach or a consultant like I am, use WhatsApp and apps like Zoom and several others to continue your business, and you charge. And it's very effective because as you can see, you can share your screen even to the person you're coaching, the coachee, and the organization you're consulting with. And then you all maintain the safe distance. Then you save on travel costs. And so even your fees becomes a bit more manageable. But the beauty of this is then you're serving clients worldwide. So I don't have to go to Ghana or go to America or Canada. I'm consulting, but I'm right here in my room. If you're a product manufacturer or you're in sales, the key now is again to determine what is needed. What is needed. And the best way to determine what is needed is to ask the customer. Like I did. 209 people registered for this training, and I asked them, what would you like to get out of this session? And all I'm sharing with you is coming from that feedback. It's coming from the feedback. I'm focusing on what they said they would like to learn. So it's the same way. So ask the customer and then produce that. Now, even if you have to retool or rework your business model, package deliveries are likely to remain and grow, for example, because a lot of things now people will be less hesitant to move around. So anything you are in as a service, especially if you're a manufacturer of a product or you're selling anything, try and invest in deliveries. People increasingly would want to get things delivered to them rather than they coming out to buy and get it from where you are. If a service provider like me, we have the greatest challenge in my view, because we get paid based on the service we render. So if the client does not need my service, then we earn fees, right? Now, I manage human beings for different organizations. So obviously one of the costs I'll have to invest more in is PPE, personal protective equipment. So 3, invest in apps that will help your line of work. Invest in apps. So this is a time to invest in technology, right? Anything that will speak to what you do. I'm enjoying this session, for example, because I have first the laptop. I have invested when light is not so good. See, I have here my tripod for light. I have my mic set and my camera, so I can record if I need to. I have the mics that I can, so you just invest in what works for you, depending on your line of business, right? It's important. And this is a time to do more on social media handles. So this is not, for me as a rule, for example, on social media, when you ask to follow me or send me an invitation, I go to check what you share on your handles. And you find a lot of people, they have 1,000 plus followers and they've only shared 2 things. Now, something is wrong with that. Obviously, those followers are not real. They are most likely bots, right? So you must share more on your social media handles now. For example, I bet the bulk of those that tuned in to join this call did so because they had observed me in time past as some authority to share on the topic that we're talking about. So it's the same way. You have to let people know what you stand for and sell yourself as an expert or an authority in your field. Create engaging posts and be there to respond to comments. So don't just ignore the comments. You have to respond to the comments. You have to respond to the comments. Be agile. Be on the move. Like I said, this is not the time for long-term plans. In fact, for small businesses in particular, throw away business plans. Business plans are for major corporations. A small business has no reason to be doing a business plan, and that's the truth. Because a small business needs to be agile, constantly on the move, constantly reviewing based on what the market says. And that is your advantage, is your unique selling point. That is what you have as a small business that the major corporations don't have. Your decision making should be faster and quicker. You see, I have failed and fumbled to succeed all of my life, like I shared earlier, right? So you will fail. You will fail. You would fail on almost anything you do if you haven't failed already. However, 90% of those who failed, they did so because they gave up. If you don't give up, you haven't failed. You've just learned another way that doesn't work. That is my worldview. I keep on failing, I keep on fumbling, but I keep moving on. So you will fail. Failure is positive. So 90% of those who failed, they failed because they gave up. So never give up. Never give up. Corona or COVID or lockdown, pandemic, noiseless, pestilence, whatever name it is called, can't keep you down. Never give up. Never give up. Never give up. Now, let me just share an interesting statistics with you. Remember, 209 people registered for this training, but I could only accommodate 100. We're even less than 100 now because of the hiccups of connection at the start. Let's assume I charge X Naira for this session. So can you please, in the chat, give me an idea of what you think I could have charged for what you have heard so far? Just give me an idea of what you think I could have charged for what you've heard so far in the chats. 50,000 Naira. I'm listening. 25,000 Naira. Okay, let's keep it going. 150,000 Naira. Wow. 20,000 Naira. At least 50K. 5K, 20K, 30K, interested. Okay, let's stop at that. So let's assume I charge 20,000 Naira. I would have made 2 million Naira in 1 hour. Did you get that? Okay, I have averaged 60 people online since we started, not 100. So if I charge 20,000 Naira, which is a lot lower than most of you have indicated, even though I know when it's time to pay, some of you will still not pay, even though you are putting those big amounts there as it is. But if I charge even 10,000 Naira and I have average of 60 people, I would have made 600,000 Naira sitting in my house. And yet you say you are locked down? I hope you get the logic. Even if you charge 1,000 Naira. Now, I'm using an option that takes max 100 people. It's possible on most apps to get 1 million people, and you have 7 billion people worldwide, all locked down at home. It's possible to get 1 million people signed on. Let's even say you have 1,000 people signed on, and you charge 1,000 Naira for whatever session you are looking at. 1,000 people, that is 1 million Naira in 1 hour. Lagos population is about 15, 16 million people. You want to tell me you won't find 1,000 people in Lagos? Not to talk about out of 7 billion people worldwide that are likely to be interested. So charge 1,000 naira and you get 1,000 people signing a call like I'm doing. That's 1 million naira. I'll just be booking my Bahamas ticket for when this is over. Now we're going to personal finances. Value out of this lockdown for your personal finances. Cash is king, more so at a time like this. So please be careful what you spend money on. This is not the time to buy. I don't want to mention a few items so that if that's what you sell, you don't come at me with a rifle. But cash is king. Why? You don't know if the next month's salary is going to come. So all you have is the money you have now. Also doesn't make sense to just stock up the house for things you may not need. And then the things you really need come up and you're out of money. So cash is king. This is not the time to spend money anyhow. Then, what is that in your hand? Use it. I'm using what is in my hand. I've been equipped and gifted with this from several trials through my life, failures, successes, getting back up, being broken, and all of that. So you have yours. What is that in your hand? I'm a man of faith. I'm also a Sunday school teacher. Remember that story in the Bible of the woman who had nothing left and was just going to die. And in fact, it was just enough to feed herself and her son. I think that's how the story went. And then the angel asked her what she had to bless. And she said, nothing, only this jar of oil. And he said, okay, that's enough. Go to your neighbors, go and borrow jars, go and borrow big drums and what have you, fill it up. And before you know it, that little that she called little became the breakthrough for her. It's always like that for every one of us. What is that in your hand? If you're not sure what it is, say a prayer to God and ask Him to open your eyes. And sometimes there are things people may have been pointing your attention at all the time, but you may just not have focused on them. So you need to check what those things are that you are holding. Use it. Use it. It may not be perfect initially. You may not make money initially. Almost everyone that has achieved some success, if you really speak to them, they'll tell you the first few attempts they made at doing what they are doing now, nobody paid them. It was free, just like I'm having a free program now. Then save, 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 save. If you have surplus, it's a good time to actually invest. Yes, stocks always go up and down. If you have surplus funds, it's a good time to invest. Just make sure you're investing in stocks that have the fundamentals are right, or you're speaking to people who are expert in that field. So invest, invest, invest. So we're going to self now. We've dealt with value for businesses, value for personal finances, value for self, for you as an individual. You need to be in tune with your talent and your skills. So this is a time you need to go back and introspect. What exactly are my gifts and my talent? What are my skills? You know, what do I have natural ability for? What have I also trained myself to do? Right. Now, you need to skill up and cross-skill yourself also. Do you have transferable skills from your current job? For example, I think I'll do well as a TV anchor, a radio broadcaster. That's a transferable skill. So if this closes up, I may go into that. I can go into that. So what transferable skills do you have? I'm using Zoom. In fact, this is my first ever online training, ever. But I'm a coach. I train, I speak and teach and train practice at least 3-4 times every month all over Nigeria and Ghana and beyond. But I've never done it online. This is the first time I'm doing this. So this is me scaling up. This is me scaling up. And I'm learning through the process as well. So be in tune with your talent and your skills. And YouTube is a great place for learning. So whatever you have a natural gifting for, polish it, because you may like it, but you need to be good at it. The world must need it. And you need to love it for you to make money out of it. Those 4 things need to be there. Let me go over that again. Whatever it is you're developing yourself to do or to sell, either a product or a service, you need to love it. If you don't love it, you won't stay there long. Secondly, the world must need it. If nobody needs it, it's just a hobby. Third, they must be ready to pay for it, for what it costs you to produce it and give you a profit. So if they don't, then you are going to go broke. So you must love it. The world must need it. The world must be ready to pay value for what you're producing. Otherwise, it's not a big line of business you should pursue. Right? 4, you must be good at it. Because if you're not good at it and you love it, the world needs it, they pay you for it, and they find out what they've bought from you is nonsense and rubbish, they don't buy again. And all businesses thrive and grow from repeat purchases. Okay? So you must love it. The world must need it. They must be ready to pay for it. You must be good at it. So the good at it part of it is what I'm saying. Self-tutoring is great. Just go on YouTube. Teach yourself. Learn more about it. Then practice, practice, practice. Then each time you sell, ask the customer for feedback on their experience so you can learn and improve further. Then reconnect with your inner self, I beg you. These are wonderful moments to just, everything is shut down anyway. So shut down even more inside your house and reconnect with your inner self. Who really are you? Who really are you? Not the physical, it's not the cars. I have, by God's grace, a few cars. They are parked out here. The cars haven't moved out of the compound in about 4-5 days. So it's not the thing. Oh, you have houses in the Bahamas and London, America. You can't even travel. So who really are you beyond all of this? It's a time to reconnect with your inner self. It's a rediscovery, a sharpening of your purpose, because that is where the true joy and fulfillment lies. Then reconnect with nature. It's soothing and therapeutic, right? If you don't have plants and trees and all of that, or water near where you are, just even step within your compound. Even if you just see an ant walking, just observe the ant. Just observe the ant. Just reconnect with nature. I do a lot of things like that. I take walks, just watch the greenery, just watch the birds as they lie, as they take off and land. It's soothing and therapeutic for a time like this. Refocus on your health, please. A lot of people are binging at a time like this, just eating and eating and eating. No, this more than before is the time not to eat too much because you're not burning it. Don't forget, weight gain is a function of what you're taking and minus what you take out. So if what you're taking is more than what you are burning, then you put on, you have other health issues when corona is over. And remember, more people have died from non-corona diseases than corona itself, including diabetes and cancer and all kinds of problems. Especially locked up like this, you'll be eating more of junk food, most of which are cancerous. Then rest. The best treatment for your immune system is sleep. So rest. Get at least 5-6 hours sleep in a day. Then exercise. And there's a lot of exercise again. Go on YouTube. You can do right there in your room. Then network. You see the work is in caps there and emboldened because network requires work. Oh yes, you are locked up in the house. Network. Join various online forums that you can connect with people. Follow the right people on LinkedIn in particular and the social media handles and get close to them. Network. Man is a spirit being also, so you need to reconnect with your source, the God factor, and never neglect prayer. More so at a time like this. It's also great for your immunity and for your health and all of that. Right. It's a great time to improve your relationship with your family and loved ones, with your parents if they're still alive. Phone call, video call with your spouse, with your children, with your siblings. In my house, we haven't eaten together on the dining table for a long time. We eat in the same space, but my wife and I on our table. But during this lockdown, we're using the dining table again. That's significant value out of a lockdown. Now, my children are in school, they're not in the country. We speak to each other every day, sometimes twice a day. That has not happened in a long time. Sometimes it takes a week or two before we're in touch. Or at best, we just chat on WhatsApp. But now we have video calls, we have voice calls every day. Those are significant values in relationships. I've just mentioned two of mine. You should also explore what you can do with your relationships. Now, before the Q&A, I'd like to share with you a 2-minute, 18-second video. This is from my mentor and friend, John C. Maxwell. And just listen, because it helps us wrap this up as we gradually now begin to go to the Q&A session.
Hi, welcome to Minute with Maxwell. This is John Maxwell. I'm going to be giving you what I call strength statements. Statements that will perhaps encourage you, lift you, give you a little bit more courage during this difficult time. And I just hope that it really adds value to you. So really stay with me on Minute with Maxwell. We won't be doing one word. I'll be taking a statement and I'll be teaching off of it. And today's statement is from Helen Keller. She said, although the world is full of suffering, it is also full of the overcoming of it. Now, Helen Keller, she was a political activist. She was huge in women's suffrage. She was an author. She was a lecturer. But what I want you to know about Helen Keller is that she was deaf and blind. In fact, she had a helper, Anne Sullivan, who literally taught her through touch. It's an amazing story. You probably need to read it sometime. But why I love this statement, again, let me read it to you. Although the world is full of suffering, it is also full of the overcoming of it. Why I love this statement is it was written by an overcomer. When Helen wrote these words, they weren't trite. They weren't theory. It wasn't just some kind of philosophy that she pulled out of the sky and gave it to us. It was her life. She was saying, I'm deaf, I'm blind, have all kind of reasons not to succeed, not to do well, but I want you to know I've overcome. I would encourage you during this difficult time to listen to overcomers. You see, all around us, we have people that are being overcome. They're kind of like victims. And then we have overcomers. These are victors. These are people that rise above the difficulties and the situations. Who you listen to determines how you respond to this crisis. So I encourage you, find some overcomers and listen to them. What they'll tell you is this: it's dark, it's difficult, it's not easy, but you can overcome. Thanks for being with me today on Minute with Maxwell.
So, there you have it, and that takes us to the Q&A session. So I'll take your questions now. Tolulope, I'm indeed blessed. You talked about online teaching, and I'm involved in doing home lesson. How can I take it online? If you're already involved in online lesson, Tolulope, then you already have a market. So first, invest in the right tools to do the online teaching. And there are actually a few online apps also that you can subscribe to that also enhance your productivity and value. Then sell it to those you're already selling your online teaching to. Daniel, how can someone cope with life challenges when you're trying to make things work and they don't seem to be working? Well, Daniel, except you joined us late, that's exactly what this whole session is about. But I tell you, try and Google Lanre Olusola, the Catalyst. Lanre Olusola, the Catalyst. He dealt with things like that extensively yesterday, so you can go watch that online. Happiness, thanks a lot for the session. I've been thinking of delivery of food items as a business. How can I go about this? Well, delivery of food items, because it's edible, a lot of the buyers first, especially with the heightened health consciousness, it will be nice for you to invest in some health certification to verify that whatever you're serving has meets basic health standards. And once you have done that, you see, for all businesses, all you want to do first is to get one customer. Just get one customer. Most people just want to blow immediately. No real business starts that way. So a business, like I like to say, is not a helicopter. If this was a helicopter and this was to take off, the helicopter just lifts off. And when it gets to cruising level, it starts to go. But a business is actually like an aeroplane. It first would be right on the floor and it's going very fast, but it's still on the ground. After a while, the front wheel lifts up, but the back wheel is still on the ground. Then after a while, the back wheel also lifts up. Then it's still going up, up, up until it gets to cruise level before it starts to really fly. So depending on the type of business and the nature, the runway you need for that acceleration and takeoff could be long. Like a jumbo jet can't land in most airports. It needs a longer, wider runway. So start with the first customer. Joseph, a lot of people usually talk about finance as a challenge in setting up personal business. But what is your opinion? Another question I hear all the time. You see, finance, money is not the most important thing in setting up any business. Don't let anybody kid you. What is most important is the value. If you really have something of value, then the next thing is you need to identify those who have the problem that you have a solution for. Then let them know of your solution. Then they would buy. But if you're also looking for money, this is my 4-week guide for raising money for a business. First, you must have savings. So you can't say you're looking for money for a business and you don't even have a kobo or dollar of your own. So you must have a savings. So first start with your savings. Next level you go to is family and friends. Except you're a completely irresponsible person, there must be someone in your family or friend or old schoolmate or neighbor or colleague who will be willing to invest in you. Let's assume you need ₦1 million for that business and your savings is 100,000 naira. By the time you're going to family and friends, you'll be telling them, I need ₦1 million, I have 100,000. I tell you, amongst family and friends, somebody will give you 5,000 naira. Somebody may give you 50,000 naira. Maybe you raise a 300,000 naira from that group. Now you have 400,000. The next place you go to is you look for a partner who can invest as an equity investor in that business. And you'll be telling the person, I need ₦1 million for this business. I have 400,000. The investor may say, okay, I'll put in 300,000. So now your 400,000 plus the investor's 300,000, you now have 700,000. The last place you go to is lenders, financial institution, or go back to family and friends who may not be able to give you, but may be ready to lend you, but this time at an interest with the balance 300,000. That's how you raise money. What are the practical steps to take in overcoming suicidal thoughts? I've been battling with it lately. Kelechi, if you don't mind, I'd like you to engage me later on this. First, you are a wonderful creation of God. And I tell you, there's perfection in you. Don't let anybody deceive you. There's no two of you, right? You are important. You are unique. There's no one like you. But please engage me after the session. I will send you privately. If you chat with me privately, I'll send you my email. You mentioned that small businesses do not need business plan. How are they able to measure progress and growth without a plan? Now, a business plan typically, I'm responding to Folake now, a business plan typically, it's a rich document that has all kinds of things. Where's the market? What's the price? How do I enter the market? And all of that. That is for established businesses. For a small business, of course, you must do your basic plan. So planning for a small business is not the same thing as a business plan, is the point I'm trying to make. Ara, what are some challenges you think the next generation will face? Thank you so much, Ara, my friend and brother. Now, the major challenge I think the next generation will face, unfortunately, are problems that we, current generation, have placed upon them. And that basically is trying to shield them from challenges of life, vagaries of life, trials and troubles. Those things actually are put in humans by God deliberately to strengthen our character and our resolve to deal with issues. So the next generation, a lot of them, I think, will struggle with finding themselves. And that's why a lot more coaches out there should invest more and more in the youths as it is. The other challenge I believe they will have increasingly is that of relationships. The human being is relational in nature, but technology tends to keep us at some distance. So many are unable to relate physically, even though they do so electronically. Opeyemi Omolola, how do you boost your self-confidence? It's first from the word self-confidence. So it is self. I tell you, I'm a very shy person, but nobody knows that anymore. So how you boost it is basically first begin to recognize that only you has that challenge of self-confidence. Nobody is aware until you let them know as it is. So a good part of getting out of that comes from you getting a personal coach. And you could also contact me after. I'll link you up. My wife is a fantastic coach. She'll be able to help you in outgrowing whatever those challenges and make you a better, more confident person. How can someone who has lost hope and interest in what she does due to many challenges rebuild herself? Lara Mine, first, again, remember I shared earlier in this session that 90% of people fail because they give up. So the first thing you want to do is do not give up. It is not over. Get a coach. You see, I'm a coach, but I also have coaches. Like my wife says, a coach without a coach, without a coach is a cockroach. Right, I can't complete it. There's some wonderful statement she makes. A coach without a coach is like a cockroach. So everyone needs a coach. Even I have coaches, right? I have John Maxwell there. I have some other local coaches. So find a coach, get a coach who can help you through those rough moments. How can I upskill my talent if I'm limited by external factors? Solomon, whatever those external factors are, they're all 10%. The 90% is how you respond to them. Again, we can have private discussions after this session. Now, so you need to take personal responsibility. And this may answer some of the questions a few people that have confidence issues of external factors and what have you. You see, there's a lot of power in choice. And like I said at the beginning, that's the greatest gift God has given all of us. Every man is a principal architect of his own destiny. Man is not the creature of circumstances. Circumstances are the creation of men. Right. So no circumstance, external or internal, whatever, really, really determines your life or your future. Right. You create the circumstances by how you choose to respond to them. So again, that's where you need a coach. So when you hear coach, 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 that's what life coaches do. Right. And there are quite a few of us out there. So you could engage me through info@sojioyawe.com. Right. They're not free services as it is. But because you're on this call, they could be significantly discounted. We can talk and help you through how to move you from whatever level you are in, either with your personal issues in life or your business, relational, and move you to the upper level. That's what coaches do. And it'll be my pleasure to do that. Now, these are the upcoming trainings that we have lined up, especially if you have enjoyed this. I'll urge you to take a picture, take a snapshot of this screen in particular, right? Because these are 4 other Zoom trainings that are coming up. But these are not free training sessions. These are going to be paid sessions. I'll be running a training on 13 invaluable tips for marketing online. Because increasingly, especially now we're on lockdown. So if you don't know how to market online, how do you carry your goods and your wares to the market anyway? So I'll be sharing with you 13 invaluable tips of marketing online, right? Then the second training that I'll also be facilitating, what next if I lose my job? Because a lot of people would lose their jobs. That's a fact. That's a fact. All of these supermarkets that are now selling online, by the time they come back, they're going to need far fewer shop hands because they suddenly realize, you mean we can do this from home? A lot of businesses that are working from home and getting things done, depending on the nature of their jobs. We also look at their staff numbers. Right. So what next if I lose my job? I'll be sharing a few tips for anyone who has that challenge or concern. Third training is actually going to be facilitated by my friend Lara Yeku. She's a HR manager at Flour Mills of Nigeria, building new competencies in HR, especially if you're a HR practitioner. You should look out for that training. The last training that I'm working is Marketing Like Dating, which is one of our best-selling training for every marketer in that Resource Intermediaries organizes. Now, it's 20,000 naira per session for each of these 4 trainings. So if you're interested, just send an email to info@resourceintermediaries.org and indicate I'm interested in training number 1. I'm interested in training number 2, training number 3, and we'll send you further details for payment and the dates for the training. Again, take a picture of this and share with as many people that you think needs to be there. I'm available in all social media handles. So if you want to follow me, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, you'll find some of my video recordings there. I'm on Instagram. So I'd love to engage with you further. Thank you all so much for joining. We've had an average of 65 people through this call.